bitch down, inciting the rioting, the burning, including the burning of black-owned businesses, and the indictment of 2 blacks for plotting to kill a St. Louis County prosecuting attorney, Robert McCullough, and Ferguson Police Chief Thomas Jackson. You're not going to hear it that way because the media is not unbiased. They are heavily slanted to the left. Very heavily. Another important factor all this time has been the consistent presence of outside agitators, and that's what I want to talk about tonight. The outside agitators, including members of the white Communist Revolutionary Party, Revolutionary Communist Party, and the World Workers' Party, like Bill Ayers and Bernardine Dohrn, the Revolutionary Communist Party, the RCP, Chairman Bob Avakian. He's a white communist who came out of the Students for Democratic Society, SDS, back in the 60s, the group that laid siege to college campuses before turning into the terrorist Weather Underground. He's referred to by his followers as Chairman Bob, and one of his big fans is, the guy from Fox News, Cornel West. Cornel West praises this communist. He says Bob Avakian is a long-distance runner in our freedom struggle against imperialism, racism, and capitalism. His voice and witness are indispensable in our efforts to enhance the wretched of the earth. West is a honorary chair of the Democratic Socialists of America. These are communists. Their goal is to bring down America. Sounds familiar? Sounds like words that I mentioned in recent months. That's Obama's goal, to bring down America, to bring us down into the third world status of other communist countries that they adore. Well, the Ferguson riots aren't anything close to what you've seen on TV. They make it look like just a bunch of black thugs out there rioting and looting. But it's organized, and I'm here to tell you about the people that are behind the organizing. One of the biggest organizers is Letha Fithian. She was intimately involved in the Occupy Wall Street. She's been deemed Professor Occupy. In 2008, she was involved with the Roots Activist Network of Trainers and the Alliance for Community Trainers. She was once voted into the steering committee for United for Peace and Justice. Now, this is a partner organization with George Soros's linked Institute for Policy Studies. Several Marxist organizations are involved in the UFPJ, the United Peace for Justice. But the most influential has been the Communist Party USA. Now, she joined the labor movement through the AFL-CIO Training Institute in 93. She's considered a legendary organizer. She also served as a human shield in actions conducted by the International Solidarity Movement in the Palestinian cities of Jenin and Nablus. She's accused Israel of slaughtering Palestinians every single day in Gaza and the occupied territories. She's known for her statement, "Create crisis because crisis is the edge where change is possible." Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? It's right out of Holder's and Obama's playbook, as well as Marxism in general. She was a lead organizer in the famous 1999 Seattle riots that disintegrated into violence at the World Trade Organization summit. She specializes in aggressive direct action. She was a supporter for the controversial ACORN group, the National People's Action, which is a new version of the SDS. And in Ferguson, she trained about 600 protesters. Now, she's not alone in the revolutionary organizing. The other revolution people that were on the ground were Code Pink, RevCom, the New Black Panthers, Socialist Party USA. This is all in Ferguson, people. The ACLU's been in the mix from the beginning, along with SEIU, The UN became involved along with the national lesbian, gay, bi, transgender organizations, climate environmentalists, amnesty groups, pro-Palestinian organizations, Christian social justice groups, and Planned Parenthood. The gay and lesbian organizations involved are the Human Rights Campaign, under which was run by the pervert that we just talked about. Lambada Legal, National Black Justice Coalition, the National Center for Lesbian Rights, the National Center for Transgender Equality, the National Gay and Lesbian Task Force, National Queer Asian Pacific Islander Alliance, the National Center for Lesbian Rights, and PFLAG National. This is only the start. When we get back from this next break, I'll tell you who else was there. But there seem to be more activists on the ground in Ferguson than there are citizens. Stick around. We'll be right back.
KCAA. Tom O'Halloran, holding the line against tyranny from Washington, D.C.
I am America. One voice, united we stand. I am America. One hope to heal our land. There is still work that must be done. I will not rest until we've won. I am
Welcome back. This is the fastest hour on radio. This is the Tuesday night edition of the Patriot Radio Show, and I'm your host, Tom O'Halloran. I'd like to thank the standby crew, the regular folks that are with me every week at in the chat room. Ron and Brian, that's Smokey, Texas, and Gulf Dogs in Twitter. These guys do a bang-up show. If you want something to do on Sunday night that's more exciting than going bowling or going to a rock concert, go to Patriot-Radio-Show.com and click on the top link in the right-hand column. It says Radio Shows That I Like. Right at the top of the list, you'll see the Halls of Valhalla. Underneath that, B&R Radio. That's Brian and Ron. The Last Stand. It's Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Central Time. A great, great way to spend Sunday evenings. Forget the movies and dinner out, date night. Sit in front of the radio, sit in front of the computer, listen to this, and you'll have a better time than you would anywhere else. Also in the chat room, my dear friend, editor Veronica Coffin. Again, Ronnie, with all you do, I can't thank you enough, dear. My good friend, 1A Nobody, John, I appreciate you. We've been going up together to visit a friend about an hour's drive from the underground bunker and visiting a friend of ours that's ailing and is only going to be with us for a few weeks and at best. And just so everybody knows, next Tuesday, 1 week from today, I'll be doing a very special show, a tribute show for my friend. He's very, very well loved online, and I'm going to give a bit of a piece about his background and his family and what he's done through his life, and then I'm going to open the phone lines, and his friends, people that he's touched on Twitter and otherwise, are going to be able to call in and say goodbye and talk about how he touched their lives and how they've come to love the man. So please tune in. It's not a political show next week, but it will be worth listening to. So, okay, we're gonna continue off right there. Alp just had another dear friend of mine from Twitter log in, Color Me Red. Known her on Twitter for a good 6 years. Love her to death. Met her in person. We've known each other in real life for a few years, and she too is a dear friend of Jimmy, the man that's passing here in the next week or two. She'll be part of the show a week from tonight. Okay, folks, picking up where we left off. The people on the ground. The people on the ground in Ferguson. The people you see burning, rioting. Anybody doing the actual burning and looting are criminals. Okay? As far as I'm concerned, they should be shot on sight. But the people stirring them up, the organizers, the people that are trying to divide this country, they are evil. They are pure evil. The first list we went through were communists. They were communists, all sorts of communist socialist parties. The next list we went through, a whole bunch of LGBT activists on the ground stirring things up. Why are they in Ferguson? They're there to divide the people. The citizens against the police, the blacks against the whites, the citizens against the government. Next up, Amnesty International had a 13-person human rights delegation in this small town to examine potential human rights issues. The Tawhid Youth Development, Organized Black Struggle, the Moorish Science Temple, the Coalition Against Police Crimes and Repression, Universal African American Peoples Association, and the Socialist Workers' Party were all on the ground in Ferguson. Ferguson is a small town. These people were there to agitate, professional agitators. I agitate by telling you what these other people are doing. Pro-Palestinian groups in Ferguson. The St. Louis Palestine Solidarity Committee, the Organization for Black Struggle, the U.S. Palestinian Community Network, Muslims for Ferguson, the U.S. Campaign to End Israeli Occupation, the Council on American Islamic Relations, the Palestinian BDS National Committee, the National Students for Justice in Palestine, Palestinian Youth Movement, American Muslims for Palestine, and African Americans for Justice, along with the Nation of Islam, the New Black Panthers, CARE, the Council on Islamic American Relations. These people are all there to weaken and demilitarize the police. Even Iran's Ayatollah got into the act on a small town in Missouri. Using social media, conference calling, and traditional outreach methods, leaders of the Council on American Islamic Relations. Now, this organization was just declared a terrorist by the United Arab Emirates. Egypt has always called them a terrorist organization. The United States hadn't declared a terrorist organization until Obama took over and changed it. I guess if a Muslim is president, then these Muslims must not be terrorists. Well, they're no more of a terrorist than he is. That's all I'll say on that. So, CARE is portraying Brown and the Detroit mosque leader, Imam Amin Abdullah, as African-American Muslims, victims of police targeting. Now, this other character, Imam Lugman, he was years ago, he was shot and killed. And let's see, in a conference call organized by CARE, Muslims for Ferguson, a CARE official called Abdullah a Shaheed, or martyr, said both he and Brown were victims of national security apparatus that has gone completely wild and engaged in demonizing and criminalizing Muslims. The reality is that in law enforcement in this country, be it state, local, federal government, people with guns have always seen black men as threats, he says. They're there in Ferguson to stir things up. That's close to 100 agitation groups on the ground, pissing people off, getting them upset, telling them that the whole country's against them because they're black. Is it any wonder they're burning cars in the streets and looting? They're being agitated by professional agitators, all brought to Ferguson at one time. Now, why Ferguson? Why now? Could it be because since this has all happened, we haven't heard anything on the mainstream media about the 5 million illegal aliens that Obama is trying to get through as citizens, give amnesty to? I don't know. but that's a fact. It's taken the amnesty right off the front page. Meanwhile, it's divided